Hi, this is Glenn from Viola's Auto and Home. Today I'm looking to buy an EV, but like computers, I've avoided purchasing because they are constantly changing. Is it the right time to buy an EV, or would I be an early adopter of EV technology if I bought one today? What should I do? Please let me know what you think and provide your comments below or on my social media links. This is part 3 of 3 regarding plug-in EVs. Check out parts 1 and 2 to get a full content of the presentation. There are several main types of electric vehicles available in the market. The standard electric vehicle, EV, also known as battery-powered electric vehicle, BEV, the hybrid electric vehicle, HEV, and the plug-in hybrid electric vehicle, PHEV. What is an EV? Wikipedia defines it as an electric car or battery electric car that is propelled by one or more electric motors using energy stored in batteries. Of course, this applies to trucks, vans, motorcycles, and other forms of electric-powered vehicles. I'm located in Canada, and most of the examples I use are referenced using Canadian or US referenced facilities. There are a few references to Western Europe as I travel there as well. This presentation represents my opinion based on many articles I've researched on the internet and YouTube. Do your own research, as this was designed to provide some basic information and stimulate your curiosity. The most efficient and cost-effective way to charge your EV is at home. However, each EV manufacturer has rolled out incentives to get you started, and some manufacturers have added a reference incentive to add charging credits if you refer somebody to purchase their EV brand. And once the purchase has been completed and paid for, you receive the credit into your account. An example of the current incremental cost of electricity as a residential consumer is shown on the table in the slide. Commercial consumers are similar and may be subject to different rate riders from your power supplier or transmission company. I'm located in Canada. All the numbers I used here are from Alberta and British Columbia, which is the western side of Canada. As you can see, the charging station's price for charging is 1.5 to 2 times greater than your home power cost. Remember that power can be limited by the supplier, and the charging station outlet does not guarantee the fastest rate of charge using the level of charger. You need to be careful here. Power providers or power station owners can ramp up or ramp down the amount of power available at the power outlet. The only place you have some guarantee of constant level of charging is at your home charging station. Which one do I use? Maybe one of the following ones shown on the slide. Costco to charge your vehicle? Visa? MasterCard to pay for it? Which one? Most electronic forms of payment can be loaded up onto your phone in a wallet, whether it's Android or Apple. However, what I've observed is that you may need several credit cards loaded on your phone for various proprietary power suppliers if you do a road trip across the country. One of my future road trips was to follow the historical Route 66, which runs across America from Chicago to Los Angeles. The map is shown on the slide. So which one is it? The stopwatch or the timer or both? How do I know how long to charge my EV? There are several factors that go into charging time of an EV battery. The type of charging level of the charging station, 1, 2, or 3. the charging station source for power, charging station's allocation of power, or the availability of power, the EV architecture, or the EV's capability to charge, which is really dependent on several factors such as your processor, your battery, your plug-in, your wire's capacity, etc. As I've already indicated, consistency of power at commercial outlets may vary during the time of day and the ability or want of the power source company to supply constant voltage. The stated voltage at the commercial location may not be the charge rate you experience, as suppliers have been known to decrease their power outlet. This is where you have to depend on your vehicle and its sensors to do their job. You must rely on your fuel gauge, your charge time estimates of the vehicle. Charge times increase the closer you get to full, so the most efficient use of your charge time is to power up to about between 70 to 80% of your capacity and move on to the next charging station on your journey. Using an EV to drive short trips versus long journeys will be the best use from your EV in the current configuration. Cannonball-styled road trips, drive until you get there, are a thing of the past in the present EV configuration. Unless you are retired, are traveling with pets, do not travel well for long distances, and or have lots of time to spare. It's definitely the journey, not the end state. When you compare a long road trip with a gasoline-powered vehicle, you can add at least 25 to 50% or more time for an EV when traveling longer than 100 to 250 kilometers, depending upon the EV. That's 60 to 150 miles. You must always check for the infrastructure before attempting a road trip with an EV. Even then, that doesn't guarantee that the infrastructure is working properly or that you have the right credit card in your e-wallet to pay for the charge. There's a lot of preparation time planning a road trip, and even while you're on your trip, you must continually monitor and manage your consumption of power and be on the lookout for the next charging station. Here's some recommended points that I put together that you should consider before going on a road trip. Familiarize yourself with your car. For example, some EVs have a buffer of power left in their battery to allow for a small reserve when you're traveling. If your car does not have this feature, such as the older Chevy Bolts, you should know this fact about your EV to prevent being stranded. Number 2, plot your route. Number 3, check your power provider for their phone app and install on your phone as a backup to the route guide on your EV and PlugShare. This will enable you to plot your route, schedule downtime for charging, locate charging stations, and the businesses around the charging station for a biological break or just a relaxing coffee or tea while reading the e-news. Number 4, load up the credit card for your favorite power supplier into your iPhone or Android wallet, as payment is done electronically. They don't accept cash. Number 5, check each charging station along your route to ensure that the station outlets are all in working order before and during your journey. Number 6, prior to arriving at your route-guided charging station, check again for the number of active chargers and see if at least one is available for charging your EV. This doesn't guarantee that it will be in working order or even shut on. Cross-check with PlugShare. Number 7, do not expect all charging stations to be DC fast chargers, and that the charge output will be at or near your vehicle's maximum charging capability. Number 8. Once you arrive at your charging destination, you should calculate the distance you need to travel on your next leg of the journey, which will determine the amount of time that your EV charges. Do this after you have connected to the charging station and the charging station is supplying the EV with a constant charging rate. Remember, it is usually very fast, up to about 50% of the charge, then starts to slow down, increasing the amount of time for each incremental additional power being charged. Number 9, you need to take into account the terrain, temperature, wind, number of passengers, etc. in your vehicle, and any other reason why your EV would require more power for the journey. Up here in Canada, we can expect a 50% loss of power from our battery due to winter conditions when trying to heat the inside of the car. Number 10, expect inefficient and variable charging speeds at the charging stations. It's all about the journey, not the end state when traveling with an EV. The slide shows some pictures of the charging stations off the app. How to spend charging time while on the road. Hotel, motel, sleep in the car, eat, go grab a coffee or tea, bring a book, go for a walk or run, do some sightseeing, visit your local coffee shop, take your traveling companion or your pet out for a walk, ensure you have a close connection to the internet, Wi-Fi, or for gaming or surfing. Bring your electric scooter or swag cycle in the storage area of the EV to travel from your charging station to a local hotspot for lunch, dinner, or a hot beverage. You could edit your YouTube video. Most of the analysts that evaluate EVs, good or bad, have forgotten about time. They talk about convenience, acceleration, and other items that they think are important to the EV technology early adapters, but not time. Time is commodity we have little of and should be considered when our alternative gives us more family time versus buying an EV and spending an additional 25 to 50% of your time charging the vehicle or taking the vehicle into repair shops, as these vehicles are all new to the marketplace. A couple of little notes. What happens when you use level 1 charger on a road trip? Well, if you've ever watched Alice in Wonderland and note the little white rabbit, you're going to be late. So enjoy the journey. There's lots to see out there. Future technology and in the news. Toyota and Nissan have hinted at the release of a new solid-state lithium-ion battery as soon as 2025, just ahead of government goals for EV vehicles set for 2035. This technology is expected to revolutionize the lithium-ion battery by enabling shorter charging times and provide a longer battery life between charges. This should be the go-to battery technology, as the technology should be more compatible to colder climates. Some of the current EV manufacturers recommend not charging the lithium-ion battery below minus 18 degrees Celsius. In certain countries, there can be 8 weeks or more of this type of cold temperatures at night when most of us are charging our EVs. The example here is Canada, of course. Hydrogen fuel technology makes sense as long as you are very close to your source of the hydrogen for fuel, water, or carbon-based fuels, such as natural gas, and are able to provide an economic removal of the byproducts. In the case of carbon-based fuels, one of the waste products is CO2, which is the basis behind the carbon tax in Canada. Since we have many gas pipelines in Canada, the infrastructure for a carbon-based fuel source is plentiful and accessible. If your goal is to use hydrogen as a fuel to avoid emitting CO2 or paying for the carbon tax, then at the present time there are no economic solutions for the sequestration of CO2 to offset the payment of the carbon tax. Using carbon-based fuels as a base for hydrogen production does not stop the carbon tax charge, as the tax is charged when the carbon-based fuel is transported to the consuming entity, i.e. before the hydrogen fuel is created. In some municipalities where the utilities supply natural gas to heat homes and use natural gas in industrial processes, they're experimenting with diluting hydrogen into the natural gas stream by mixing up to 20% of the stream with hydrogen. Some of the news updates over the past month. Sony was looking for new partners for its EV project, where they wanted somebody to supply the car and they would supply the technology. IG Metall plans to elect members to the Works Council in Tesla's German factory. GM signs a deal with Renewable Innovators to help bring hydrogen fuel cell technology to mobile generators. GM also recently signed a deal to build a battery recycling facility. Blink will be supplying level 2 chargers at GM dealerships, and Ford signs a 5-year arrangement with Stripe to manage Ford's commerce and payment systems. This concludes our 3-part series on EVs. The next of the series will be a walk around of one of our projects, the 2014 Shelby GT500, the 2013 GMC Sierra, or the 1970 GTO. Please hit the like button, subscribe, and provide your comments on the channel. If you have any ideas for our projects, please let me know, and we'll add them to the channel video list. Here's Viola's Auto and Sound. Bye for now.